Good morning on the 23rd of February. Actually, it's good afternoon. I just did Awakening Israel. I didn't realize time had passed that far. So here I am, late to work again. I like to do this in the dark before the sun rises. But I woke up in the middle of the night. I'd like to blame it on the puppy dog. She's doing better. I'm so grateful for that. I guess I should have named her Pumpkin because it seems like that's what settles her down more than anything else. I think that it might become a permanent part of her diet. I guess I probably should avail myself of some pumpkin pie as well. You have tuned in to Giving Psychology Away. I'm Dr. John Taylor Kent, a retired psychologist. My last job was as a corrections psychologist. I got to work in the bush in Alaska. Those people helped grow me up quite a bit. I really am grateful for that experience. I learned a lot. I also know where where they hang out at too. I could probably take you there, but why would I want to do that? I don't want to bother those creatures. Leave them alone. Yeah, they're up there in the interior of Alaska. It's not a big deal. The natives explained a lot of things to me. They actually helped me. I did my best work that I could do, but they actually helped me to grow up in many ways, helped me to mature in many ways. And I loved the culture in terms of they were bare bones, innocent in many ways, and I'm not going to go into descriptions here because it would be kind of awkward unless we really into detail on some of this stuff. But I worked in Bethel. I worked out of Antioch in several villages over on the the Kuskokwim River and the Yukon River. And I actually got to work up in Barrow briefly with whale hunters. That was very enlightening as well. I wish I was a younger man because life in the bush is kind of a tough one, and I'd love to be able to go out there because it's very peaceful and it's a lot different than what you think. The natives are far more pragmatic than we are. They have a far greater understanding than we have. They see things much clearer. Very pragmatic, very practical. Their philosophies are something else. They really are quite good. Anyway, we are in trouble in this nation, and you already know that. You've got a president who's insisting on taking us to war. That's because he's helping the bad guys that run the planet today to destroy America. And they've got a few ways to do that. And it looks to me as though Barack Insane Obama, the man of lawlessness who crafted all this stuff up to do the takedown of America, and we are in his third term as president. I can't wait till his fourth term. Yeah, they're going to run Joe again, so Barack can keep calling the shots from behind the scenes. Barack has set himself up on a nice island. It's kind of a semi-hardened place. It's not a military target. It's away from enough stuff so that they'll probably do okay there. And he set up, it's a 14-acre, wonderful, beautiful house. He sure became rich while in office. And he's put in a nice big generator so he'll always have electricity going no matter what happens. And then he put in the biggest tank, the biggest gas tank that you can get, from what I understand. I guess the EPA had to give a special dispensation so he could put that up. So with that in mind, I think Barack has set himself up, him and his, I don't know what to call Michelle, his trans wife, okay, trying to be realistic here. Not even really a trans. It's kind of a weird deal because she's not fully a female. She hasn't had her tool cut off from what I know. If you know any different, put it down in the comments. I'd like to know. It's not that important to me, though. Don't want to really dwell on it either. It's kind of ucky. Anyway, he set himself up so that in the event of an attack, he'd still be able to have electricity. So they're planning for the electricity to go out. And the electricity can go out several ways. They've already started by bringing in oh, bringing in terrorists, if you will, bringing in soldiers, and shooting the transformers up. That's happened in probably 5 or 6 states already. They've shot the transformers up and took them out of commission. It doesn't take much. It doesn't even take a big 50 caliber gun. It just takes a 30 caliber gun to take one of those transformers out. And those have not been hardened and are not protected. And so my advice to you is when the time comes, those are some of the things you're going to want armed men around. You're going to want teams of men defending this stuff. That's what you're going to have to do. The problem is, will you wake up in time so that there's something here to defend, something to protect? Or are you going to wake up too late and they will have shut the lights off in America forever? Which is what they're probably going to do. Because by not nuking us and irradiating the land, they can farm this thing within a year after they do an EMP attack. Well, maybe it might take 2 or 3 years. Because during the first year, they're just going to sit back and let us kill each other. Let us feed on ourselves. Yeah, they'll do that. These people are very wicked and very evil. They've been on the planet for about 70 to 72,000 years. They were driven here in a great space battle. Anyway, I don't really want to talk about that with you folks here because this is supposed to be the political, historical, factual channel. I'll be honest with you. Awakening Israel is much more factual than this stuff that you think we're dealing with. Your science isn't real science. It's been taken over and dictated. They obscure it and they hide everything they can because they weaponize it and use it against you. And they don't want you to understand the truth and figure stuff out. Which is why your government is not going to lift a finger when it comes to East Palestine or Palestine, whatever the hell you want to call it. And these other half a dozen places where trains have been derailed, spilling chemicals, or lit on fire on purpose to disperse the chemicals and destroy. Wow, some places over in Ohio, livestock are dead already. Some places the birds won't fly anymore. If they do, they fly into it and they drop dead. They don't keep flying. And that's safe to drink. Safe for you and me. We got a bunch of liars in the White House. They're doing their best to keep us preoccupied while our enemy takes us down from within. So that's what's going on. And you've got this big show over there in the Ukraine. And all of that's been orchestrated as well. I haven't figured out I know who's pulling the strings. I just haven't figured out which strings are pulling and which way they're going to go. You see, they are more rational than you or I are. They are more flexible. They have everything planned on contingency so that they can change. They're a bunch of sociopaths, and sociopaths lay out their traps for us in advance. So they've already figured out what to go to if we react in a certain way. And they do these vast social, psychological experiments, multivariate generally, and collecting data on us so that they can screw us over more. Most of the psychologists, at least half, are working for corporations and big government behind the scenes. They aren't licensed, and they pull all kinds of weird shit on the rest of us. And that includes the social psychiatrists as well that work against us. So everything is hunky-dory. It's not very good, and you know that by now. And so while we are looking at one front, they're going to pull the plug on another front. So they're about to pull the plug on our money system. We've let them take the reins since 1913. Our president, Woodrow Wilson, was honeypotted. Mrs. Peck must have been quite the hottie because he wrote her love letters and they blackmailed him with it. Now, Mrs. Peck was a married woman, and she and her husband set up Woodrow Wilson to do this. And he changed something in our Constitution so that he could implement a communist income tax. That is a communist tax. That's not a proper tax. I mean, if you made me president, about the first thing I would do would be to tell the truth. And I'd also be shutting the borders down at the same damn time. Nobody goes in or out without full knowledge. And we're going to tax everything that comes across that border. We're going to tariff it and duty it. We're going to go back to George Washington's tariffs and duties that allowed for us to have a healthy, burgeoning, robust middle class. And we'll take away the income tax and nonprofit status as well that makes the playing field unequal. And we'll take away all of these government controls on what you do with your business. It's your property. So why shouldn't you hire who you want to hire? And we're not going to be collecting this obscure data trying to prove racism and screw people over with it. We're going to take that away right away and see when you have your tariffs and duties at the borders, and I would include anything that comes over the telephone lines or over the internet, anybody that's violating our sovereign space, providing a service, they're going to have to declare the value of that service and pay into the United States Treasury 30%. That protects the little guy abroad from his labor being dumped on us, and it protects the little guy inside our nation so he can actually have a business and be able to support himself and his family. See, some of these ideas are so common sense and they're not that hard to understand. But the big problem is, how do we defend ourselves when Obama went through all of our military and got rid of every patriot he could ferret out? Where you have people like General Milley who are working with the Chi-Coms and has already said that if the Chi-Coms were being attacked by us, he'd call up the general, his counterpart over there, and warn him about it. Okay. And you let that guy head up your troops? No wonder General Milley declined the president's direct order to shoot down that balloon at first. Maybe it wasn't a Chi-Com balloon. Maybe it was an FBI balloon. I don't trust this FBI. I'd just as soon take them into custody, every one of them. Protective custody, including all their files and records. And then have what's left of military intelligence, which we can't trust either, but have those branches investigate it separately to see who actually gets to the truth for us. We are already in a civil war. The evil ones told us they preach tolerance and coexistence. But do they practice that? Oh no. Hell no. They don't practice tolerance and coexistence. Don't expect it. Now that they have the upper hand, they are going to oppress like you wouldn't believe. Putin warned us years ago to hold on to our guns. I can't help but wonder how controlled he is and how much he's told what to do and how much he does what he's told. You got to understand something. These international bankers are evil son of a bitches. They are behind the scenes manipulating everything. They've been the cause of all of the wars. I don't know how far back it goes. It goes back further than our country goes. They caused our Civil War. They caused the War of 1812. And they were there advising the king about the war that became known as our Revolutionary War, our war of self-defense, while they were trying to genocide us. You don't think they were trying to genocide us? Then why did they put a treble bounty on long blonde scalps and a double bounty on all the other hair colors and long hair, and then a single bounty on short men's hair? They went after our breeders. They went after our mothers, our women, those who would help us to grow in population and numbers. You see, if you really want an economic stimulus program, there's nothing better than having children. Nothing more important either. My God, when a man has another mouth to feed, he is motivated. Get your ass out there and work. Bring home the bacon. You've got a family to take care of and protect. Yet today, men are derided. We're derided openly in the commercials and in the movies. There's a concerted effort to disrespect us. And you see, when those marital vows were, I don't know how to call it, invented, crafted up, when they came up with that, conjured, whatever you want to call it, to obey was an important thing. Because a man gave his life to defend his very life to defend his wife. That's what he was obligated to do. And she would need to obey him, otherwise she could get him killed and get herself killed too. And that's kind of what happened when you ladies decided you wanted to get the vote, and then you decided you were going to put President Barack Obama in office, who was a British subject. He's not even an American citizen. He might have dual citizenship with Indonesia, but he's not American at all. And you all got suckered into it. We couldn't stop it. We couldn't stop you. And you've also changed some other basic fabric of our society so that we cannot defend ourselves anymore. You have harmed our fabric with your feminism and with your insistence that you're going to rule the roost. Your domination, your dominance, and the emotionality behind it that doesn't help matters much. You see, you really need to be in a protective space. You really need a man to shelter you and protect you so that you can be a woman. Because it takes a lot more balance, a lot more finesse to be a woman. That crown that you wear takes a balancing act. Your chemistry is a lot more complicated. You know, how your body defends itself, how it works. It's a lot more fragile. It's a lot more sensitive than what you think. Man's kind of pretty simple in comparison. But a woman's got more stuff going there, given to her from Creator God, Creator Father God, Yahweh, for the purposes of motherhood. You know, if you want to see a dangerous bear, you don't look at the big guy, you look at Mama Bear. You want to see a dangerous moose, you don't look at the big guy with the rack on his head. He only uses it when he goes crazy during the rutting season. And then he's out of his mind, half psychotic anyway, and he'll attack anything. But you get between Mama Moose and Baby Moose, she'll kill you. She won't hesitate. The female is always the most dangerous of the predatory species. Look at lions. Who does most of the work in the hunting? The lioness. Don't kid yourselves, though. When it takes the big guy to do something, he's there. Then look at the wolf. Look at the wolf pack. Where is the female wolf? She is smaller. She will be beneath her mate, defending his throat, right there in front underneath his chin, guarding his throat, while he, with all of his power there and his strength, is guarding her as well. You see, it's a team. She might even start the attack because she knows what needs to happen. She can be more aggressive. He will bring more power to it. She will think a lot more than he does about it. It's kind of like my dog. She will think a lot more about it than a male version, her male counterpart will. He'll just go in, she'll sit there and look at it a little bit and think about it. And he'll likely to do it without my, direction. She, on the other hand, turns to me even when she goes outside for permission to potty. There's a bit dependency there. I need you to help me out. I've got a little over 200 subscribers. It's growing slowly. I'd like to get to 300. And I'd also like to get some Bibles sold. Yes, I get a small commission, a small stipend for each one that is sold. And it helps. I need the income. I really do. What will I do if I have the income? Well, I burn my money. I know it doesn't sound very, very practical or pragmatic, does it? Well, thing is that I like to visit people and I like to travel around. I'm in a motor home. And so when I fill my tank up and drive, I'm literally burning my money because the fuel is getting burned by the spark plugs. And I've got some more life left in me. I've got some more time, and I want to get out there and meet some more people. There's people all over the country that I want to meet. They hold keys to understanding this nation and the past that I'd really like to get to. So I'm going to tell you right now, you're in an unlimited war. And it is a civil war. And the other side is winning. They control just about everything right now. And so they've got you shamed and they've got you paralyzed. They have used their learned helplessness techniques and strategies on you so that you can't take action. You need to understand something. Push is going to come to shove, and you are going to have to use lethal force in order to defend your life and defend your family. I wish it wasn't that way, but these guys have taken down many countries before, and you only have to look to South Africa to see how they do it and what they do. And you can also look at the recent Hopi prophecies, and those are rather racist in themselves. It bothers me, and I will call them out. I'll go up and visit the Hopi at some point. Hopefully they'll receive me and they'll open up. They might not. They may become defensive. Usually folks open up to me. I've sat down and talked with some of the wildest people you just can't imagine. And why they open up to me is like, man, sometimes I'd just like to get out of there. Don't tell me this stuff. I don't need to know the secrets. I don't need to know this. I'm going to forget it as fast as I can. But I guess the fact is that my pathology is I'm a rescuer. I was a rescuer in my family of origin, and I grew up, went to college, and I became a professional rescuer. I became a psychologist, and I discovered the truth about my profession and about how it's being misused and what's been going on in this nation. So my biggest and greatest advice to you is to stay away from me and my kind. I'm not too bad, but the others are. They will not respect your conservative values. They will not respect your religious values unless it is against the religion that they hate the most. You know, they don't want us to know the truth that's in the Bible. So as long as they've got us pigeonholed in a system that lies to us and keeps us marginalized, they're happy. I need you to read these Bibles and free your minds up. I need you to program yourself up with good stuff. I need you to put good things in to that massive, majestic computer that you have so we can get good things out. We are being attacked psychologically, biologically, socially. It's called biosocial economic warfare for a reason. The term's been around for about 100 years. And so that's what you're fighting. It is biological. It's not strictly spiritual. The sad thing is that your fighting back has to start spiritually so that you have the awareness and proper judgment so you can sort things out and not be deceived, so you will be able to hold your ground and defend yourself. Now, I'm not going to be defending strangers out there. These people that have been dictating to us how bad we men are, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go just defending any woman out there anymore. When I was younger, it would have been automatic. Not now. No, you probably vote to take away the Second Amendment. You probably vote away our means of self-defense, of defending you. So if you don't have a gun on you, I will regard you as either a libtard who has harmed us through your treason, your failure to support the Second Amendment, or I'm going to look at you as possibly a convicted felon that's just dangerous to me anyway and shouldn't have possession of a gun. I know some of that stuff wasn't very fair and isn't very fair, and that even a convicted felon, even no matter what, a man's got to be able to defend his very life. That's only natural. But I talked with a good friend of mine a while back and asked him, if you're in public and there's somebody being attacked, are you going to draw your sidearm, draw your concealed weapon to defend them? And he thought for quite a while. He said, no, John, no, I don't believe I will. Well, I don't know until I get there. But the odds are I won't either. I will turn my back and walk off. Why? You want to obligate me to defending you in a society that doesn't allow me to even defend my own life? And you think that's fair because you've got feelings? Come on. You've got to be more logical than that. You have to allow people to continue on their lives unabated after they successfully defended themselves. Instead, you want to destroy them. How stupid. There's a lot of stupidity in this society right now. Real stupid people out there with real stupid ideas. A lot of it, unfortunately, has been foisted off on us as the truth, and it's not. Probably the greatest lie of all is that we're all created equal. Well, we may have some standing that puts us equal in some ways. But Creator Father Yahweh creates us all individually, all differently, with different strengths and weaknesses. So how can we say we're equal when we have different talents? You know, as I've said, I identify as a world-class, best quarterback in the world for the New England Patriots, and I'm married to, what's her name? The secret, whatever it is, model, the supermodel. Yeah, that's right. That's what I identify as. And you have to respect that, don't you know that? Oh, yeah. Let's wake up, folks. Let's smell the roses. Let's smell the coffee. Let's get a reality check. America was slated by the Bilderberg Group for destruction more than a decade ago. They made an announcement at their meeting and everyone cheered. They were happy. They destroy countries very easily. They've done it many times. They've used this nation to destroy other nations. And so that's why they want to go after us, to finally take us down. Let's give them what they have coming. Let's wall them up to make sure to never let them out so they can commit their mischief anywhere else. They jumped for joy. And I understand George Soros is going to destroy America if it's the last thing he ever does. He's doing a really good job. Everything is working out nicely. He might get to live to see the results. He just might. What's the problem? Well, our founders read the Bible. They knew who they were. They could not be as readily deceived, whereas we can be deceived. We also have the problem of this is towards the end of the earth age. And at the end of the earth age, the earth's children are very weak, very puny. They are inferior to her children that she produces at the beginning of an earth age. So when this transition occurs in a few years from now, 2046, the earth's children are going to have to be real strong to survive. So the elite look at this as a race. They want to kill off as many of us as they can so that their children have the better survival opportunity and they can come out on top once again. You see, folks, as near as I can tell, they've been through many earth ages. They've dug in, they've hidden the knowledge and the technology, and they come forward and they come out and they rule the roost all over again. Except this time things are different. This time people are going to be awoke. And I don't mean awoke in the bad way. I mean people are going to realize who the bad guys are and what they're about. And so our descendants, our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren will at least know who they are. They will know who they are, and they will know who the enemy is. And they will be hunting them down for a long time, probably multi-generational. You see, the evil ones work multi-generationally. They keep everything in their families. And these bad boys all come from one suburb of ancient Babylon. And they identify, and I'm not going to tell you how they identify because I don't want to risk getting a strike here. They identify as, but they actually are hiding behind another group. They take advantage of this other group. They murder them just like they murder us. These guys are murderers. It's in their blood. It's in their DNA, very literally. I've explained this stuff to many strangers, and I've had women tell me, "You can't put that on the children." And I look at her and I'm thinking, if you don't, then you're going to be paying the ultimate price down the road. And they've got bigger bombs than what you've ever seen or heard of. They have bombs that can destroy continents now. You can set one of these new weapons off in part of Europe and destroy almost all of it. They are planet-busting bombs. I really don't want to experiment with them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to try them out. In America, your leaders have allowed you to develop as a nation so that you would be totally vulnerable. You are more vulnerable than what you think right now. And the most important thing you could do would be to close these borders down, call the troops home, and get things sorted out here so that and call a moratorium on any and all immigration. No more asylum seekers even. Just shut it off until we sort out what we have here. A decade would be too short. We need a moratorium of at least 3 or 4 decades at this point, because it's going to take that long. And we have had moratoriums on immigration that have been that long before. It has nothing to do with racism. It has to do with loving your own people and defending your own people. It has to do with common sense. It also has to do with keeping your electorate balanced rather than imbalancing it by bringing in a bunch of Democratic voters. Come here, Lorraine. Good girl. Good watchdog. Things are happening across the planet very quickly. They have got this thing set up so that they have an excuse to launch these nukes. Yes, they want us put in our places so badly, so fast, and they want to destroy us so much, they're willing to do that. And there's a good likelihood they might get away with pulling that off. And their other option is just go ahead and use a few EMPs across the country, take out of our electrical facilities, and then let us suffer for about a year dealing with each other here. Our military won't be able to project any strength abroad. It will be totally a mess. All right, I'll pick up that call in a little bit. I'm not going to do it now. You're more important to me. Folks, I need you to wake up. I need you to become Bible readers. I need you to understand that a rebellion is not blessed by Yahweh. Self-defense is blessed by Yahweh. And you're waking up almost too late to defend yourselves. Every day that goes by in which you have not decided that you're going to form your militias, private and public, and you're not going to defend yourselves, your neighborhoods, your counties, is another day in which they get to destroy you further. And they are going to destroy you as rapidly as they can. They've already gone after many food processing plants. They've already derailed many railroads. Even trucks have been capsized with toxic chemicals on them, and the trucks weren't even labeled properly and lawfully to be able to carry that hazardous cargo. The standards have been dropped across the board. Instead of hiring people based upon merit and the capabilities to actually do the job, they're hired based upon identity. Based upon identities that have nothing to do with the tasks of the job. And besides that, when you have a bunch of dumbasses working for you, you're going to get really bad results. It's pretty sad when I walk in and somebody hasn't been trained properly to give me safe service. Man, I got freaked out a couple of days ago, but I'm not going to tell you about that right now. I've communicated with the owners recently about my experience and how bad it was, and I'm waiting to hear what they have to say. I'm doing my best to be polite about this and hoping for the best outcome. If you ask me what I wanted, I would have preferred that it didn't happen, but now that it has happened, I'd love for them to be responsible. They should fire the dumbass that did it. That's one thing they should do. And if they're not willing to do that, they better train his ass up so he doesn't do it again. But I am probably going to blog about it. I will definitely be telling the guys in my club about it. Because you just don't do that. You don't treat people that disrespectfully. Yeah, I may be an old guy, but it's like you just can't do things willy-nilly. And I am going to take the time and make sure that your boss knows what the hell you did to me. Anyway, what I have learned recently by going over this book, the second book of Enoch, is I'm reminded of my failure. And my failure is the same thing that Job, the book of Job, held for. His wife kept telling Job, curse God and die. But Job's response, should we not accept the evil along with the good from the Lord? It's basically what he said. We have to take the good with the bad. And I have a little trouble taking the bad along with it and just letting it go. So I'm doing my best to learn how to assert myself still. I'm overly positive and I fail to stand up for myself enough. It's part of my pathology, part of the rescuer in me. It's also part of the poor boundaries that I have. Empathy. To be empathic means basically you got bad boundaries. And all these people are running around worshiping empathy. That's what they want to be. I don't want to read other people's stuff. I don't need to have access to their minds or their feelings. Don't get me wrong. If I'm working and I'm getting paid for it, that's my job. Fine. But the average person out there feels entitled and they want help for free. They want something for nothing. So take my advice, which is probably worth every bit you're paying for it. Don't accept free things. Don't sign up to these weird contracts where they claim you can cancel at any time, or we're just going to charge you this $1. Man, they run with it and they go with it. And before you know it, that free item has cost you a lot more than it would have been if you just walked in and bought it outright to begin with. Besides that, if most of us actually had some standards like that and refused free stuff, they wouldn't be able to lie to us and take advantage of us so much. We wouldn't be in so much trouble. We wouldn't have so much difficulty. I mean, let me pay you properly for the service or for the item. The goods or services, let me pay you. Let me compensate you properly. I want you to stay in business. I want you to make a living. I want your family healthy and happy. And I want you wholly on top of that. Well, folks, this is as long as I'm going to go with you today. And I believe that we have gotten ourselves to show number 127. I'll check here and title this properly. I got to go, folks. May Yahweh bless you. May Yahweh bless our republic. May Yahweh make America good again.